Dr. H. Wainhouse is the Distinguished Research Professor of Theology, Law, Culture, and Archaeology at Faith International University and Seminary in Tacoma, Washington. He and his wife, Irina, have taught and directed many tours in the Mediterranean and Middle East, including Israel, Greece, Egypt, Jordan, Italy, and Turkey, particularly with the Biblical Archaeological Society. Dr. House has taught biblical and theological studies at several universities and seminaries during a teaching career of over 50 years and has written 150 articles and 50 books, including the Evangelical Dictionary of World Religions, The Jesus Who Never Lived, Exposing False Christs and Finding the Real Jesus, the Zondervan Handbook of Biblical Archaeology, Israel, the Land and the People, an Evangelical Affirmation of God's Promises, and editor of the Nelson NKJV Study Bible and Nelson New Illustrated Bible Commentary. Dr. House is the general editor of the Evangelical Exegetical Commentary Series, 44 volumes, with logos, Faith Life. It is the knowledge amassed from these experiences, along with the assistance of biblical scholars at a variety of universities and seminaries throughout the world, that provides the information contained in his latest project, the House Visual Study Bible Online. Thank you for joining Archaeology and the Lands of the Bible with Dr. H. Wainhouse.
And here we are. The crowd is in the room. Dr. H. Wainhouse is taking his place to boss us around or something.
Well, first of all, I want to say whoever did that intro needs a certain prize sent to them at Christmas time.
Ooh.
Needs a what?
A Christmas present.
Whoever did that deserves a prize.
I see. Okay, there we go. Now we got you.
I'm glad. I'm in Philippi there, but we're going to move over quickly to Turkey.
We're going to move over to Turkey. So you have a tour coming up in Turkey, as a matter of fact. And are you the turkey leading the tour to Turkey?
You know, I got to tell you something. I took a group with the Biblical Archaeological Society. They asked me to take a group, a fairly large group, and we went all of Greece, all the way up to up to Thessaloniki and so forth, across to all of Turkey. We did it all, and we were at a place called Hierapolis, and there was a big rooster out in front of the place that you could buy. We're talking about a fake, not a real one.
Oh, okay.
A gigantic rooster outside the place where you went in to buy souvenirs and such. And people asked me, what is that about? I said, well, I guess I could tell you the story about the rooster used to be the primary bird in this island, in this place called Asia Minor. And after a time, there was a movement from the ancient Near East of this turkey, this animal, that began to gain prestige in the city, in the country. And I went through this whole scenario. I've got more that I could say. But wow. I never heard. People are just enamored listening to my lies.
Your lies.
But on the other hand,
it was a great story, just not a true story.
But it could have been.
Funny. And I heard about that again and again throughout the rest of the tour.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'd never done that. It was purely ad hoc. I just decided, you want to know about the rooster? Let me tell you about the turkey. That's how
gosh.
The name of Turkey actually is from Turkey. It's the land of the Turks. The Turks were from the place past Asia Minor and Persia and so forth, coming over into the land of what we think of as Turkey today. So, but I'll move past that. I just thought that was a funny story, and I never heard the end of it when I was on the tour. We are going on the tour. October 17 through 27 is the major tour, and we're going to go to Turkey, or might I rather say, since you know more, we're talking about Asia Minor, the place that Christianity was so, there was so much going on that in 119, when Pliny wrote to the emperor, he said, we have this new religious superstition, and the temples are being forsaken because of it. That's called, Christianity was this superstition. And the churches grew there until that became the major place of ancient Christendom. So it's an important place to visit. I love Israel very much. I've been there over 40 times. I love it very much, but you need to have Turkey to put it all together as you read the Bible, particularly the New Testament. So we're going to offer that tour if anybody wants to come October 17th to 27. There's an extension to Cappadocia. There's 3 more days if you desire that. But you can contact us just through looking at my website, hwhouse.com. There's a whole place to actually push and look at the brochure, and also to register to ask for more information. It's all there if you want to see it. Okay, you want to talk about the book of Revelation now?
Oh, why not?
Okay, let's look at it. The reason why I say this, because we need a little bit of background before we move into the study of these various sites, because what we find is that John, who was at that time quite old, he was a young man. Matter of fact, he was almost like a teenager, I think, when Jesus was here with the apostles. He was very young. But by this time, we're talking about I think probably somewhere in the late 80s. And you have the book of Revelation. John was a prisoner, let's say he was sent to Patmos as a punishment by the emperor, and he worked there and so forth. And this is the place that Jesus came to give him a revelation. We sometimes call the revelation of John. It's really the revelation of Jesus to John. And he did it through an angel. And so that's sort of what was going on when you read this passage. And there's this great statement in chapter 1 that it's really just, I'm going to bring chills up you when you look at it, as he's saying John to the 7 churches. And he goes on down and says, "Behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him. Those who pierced him and all the tribes of the earth." This is the second coming of Christ, and which is actually developed throughout the book of Revelation about what's going to go on. And I'm planning, and I hope you are too, to be there with him when that occurs. And so let me get now to the second portion here, if we can go on to the text of the Revelation 1:1 through 3:22. I'm not going to go into all this, but I just want to point out to you, as he continued to write, you notice he writes first to 7 churches: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. If you were to look at the map that we talked about right here, can you see that okay? See, everything started at Ephesus and worked up and worked up and worked across, came down, and so forth. That's what was going on. You had a circular letter, probably carried by someone who was working under John, someone who was I don't know exactly what a position they would have, but someone who did work with him.
Like a courier or something, right? Something like that.
It was a courier, but probably one of the disciples. He had a group of disciples. We know Polycarp was one famous one.
Oh, yeah.
A place we're going to look at called Smyrna. But we'll also look at Hierapolis, where the apostle Philip, who they just found this a couple of years ago, I believe. It hasn't been long, where they found he was buried, and he was martyred. And Papias was bishop in Hierapolis, or what they call Pamukkale. Now, they have Turkish names instead of just the Greek ones. Not many people in Turkey speak Greek. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So here's it again. Here's Patmos and all these places I just pointed out to you. And so what I want to do tonight is what I'd hoped to do last week, but we'll get it done. And I want to allow some time for some questions and answers. If anybody has any questions about things, particularly I'll make points, and maybe I need to explain them more if you want more. But I just want to show you now that I think the GNC is so beautiful. It's a great place, and the Greeks have a couple thousand islands or more. And the reason why I say that is because some of what are called islands are not really normal islands as we think of. I mean, you don't have people living on them, so to speak. But they are pieces of land. That goes up to about 7,000. But you have basically a couple of thousand of places that people could actually live to some degree on. Can you see that sea with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
there it is.
I didn't see it here until this time. Look how blue that is. And if you should go on a trip to Turkey, we take a boat usually across there. Takes a couple hours to get to Patmos, and then take it back to Kusadasi, which is modern Ephesus today. So that's the GNC. I just think it's a gorgeous place if you go there. We're moving on now to the place that there is a monastery It's an interesting place. It really is. It's worth going to and looking through it. They have a museum there, as well as you can. The priests that are there that are very friendly, and I've spent time talking to them, and it's a good thing. But if you'll notice, this one right here has a statement out front, and I don't know if you could see that, but to above the corner of the Bible that's there, it says the Holy John. What we call Saint John. See, hagios is a word for holy, but he's called Saint John. And on the other side of his body, on the upper shoulder, there's a thing that says Ha Theologos, which means the theologian. So they call him Saint John, the theologian. And so John was a theologian, one who was knowledgeable in the things of God. And so that's what you have there when he speaks that. Now let's move on down some more to Patmos. I don't plan on spending a lot of time here, but I just want to show you some stuff. This is, in fact, part of the islands group. Notice it's not just one island. It's a grouping of islands, ultimately. And you can see things here, and I have other pictures. I decided not to inundate you with a lot of angles from this, but there are many other islands right around there, and there's actually, you can climb mountains on Patmos. I actually did a video that's in my House Visual Study Bible that I'm sure all of you are now using, the hvsb.app, House Visual Study Bible. In that, I actually have a number of videos as well as hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos and articles that explain the biblical text. But on Patmos, I actually was at the very top. It's the monastery of St. Elijah. And so that's one of the things here on Patmos. Now let's move on now to archaeology in the seven churches, because I'm not going to really go into that much either. I just want to point out one thing and then move on from this slide. And that is, if you notice, therefore, Jesus says to him through the angel, therefore write the things which you have seen. And guess what they have seen so far at this point? The introduction. The introduction to the book of Revelation, where the stage is set. That's what happens to begin with. And then the things which I'm going to look at with you tonight. That's the things that are, because this is the fact of the seven churches. As the letters that went to each of these, complimenting at times and also criticizing at times, saying they need to get their act together. So both things probably could be said in most of our churches, you think?
Yeah, for sure.
There might be some issues that we've done well, and other things where we need to get back and try to make some more effort. So things are, and then things which will take place after these things, which begins with chapter 4, where we really start into the revelation given by Jesus regarding his future coming and those things that appertain to that. And of course, we won't take time to go into a theology study of the book of Revelation, but this is the kind of stuff you're dealing with here. This is occurring on Patmos. Let's move on now down the way, and we're going to go into the slide that says Ephesus, I think. No, we're going to take it back. Oh, I know what happens. I had to make these things with multiple copies of the PowerPoint to be able to send them over to Don. So this is all we're going to look at here. I'm going to take that away, and when I take that away, I should have the next thing. That's in number 2.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to reload here.
You with me? Okay. I had to turn these in 5 different slide
Wayne,
presentations. Yes.
I'm going to have to reload. So tell a story while I reload.
I can tell lots of stories. You want a true or false?
Oh, no, not the turkey one.
By the way, as a teacher, and I've been teaching grad school since I was 24, and all the years, the way I teach, basically, I humor people a little bit, keeps things light in class. People sort of smile. They're not all just stoic. We sort of have a little fun as we're going through. And so that's sort of my methodology in teaching. But what we're going to see in the book of Revelation, if you were to read through that, was to see all the ways in which God is going to finally wrap up all that has gone on the earth and straighten it up.
There you go.
He created a garden, that he put people in. It got really goofed up right at front. And so he spends all this time, trying to work with humanity. And finally, he's going to finish it off and go back to the original state of the new heavens and the new earth. That's really fascinating to study in the Revelation.
Yes.
Well, now that you've got this up here, I'll continue. I did several pictures here on the entrance. There's a reason why. I want you to get a feel for when you get out of your bus. If you go on the tour of something like this, when you get out of your bus, you have this path that used to have these columns on both sides. And sometimes in some of the cities you see of the Greeks, not only do they have columns that fit on both sides, but they would have a tarp kind of thing across the top. So actually you could walk in the shade in some of these places. Nice. So we see it this way, but those shades, and if they were there in Ephesus, and I suspect it was at times, they're no longer present, obviously. But this is a way in as you walk into the city of Ephesus, which goes down, as you can see. So let's move to the next one. And again, this is more of it. We're beginning to get closer and closer. In order to come here, you actually have to walk this pathway all the way to the building you see at the far end that you're going to see closer up in a few minutes. And that's called the Celsus Library. Now, let me say something before we go too far here. I'll tell you more about the Celsus Library in just a moment. But it was built in AD 117, and basically in 262, I think it sort of was in disrepair. But it was not in the days of John or Paul or anybody that visited Ephesus. But it's really quite a stark thing to look at. If you will pay attention, then along the way you have different things. You have columns, but you also have temples. So we'll see, look at a one or two there. And they have other kinds of things that I'm going to talk about along this pathway as you're moving to Celsus Library, making a right-hand turn and moving toward what is called the Agora. We call that its marketplace. It's a place that people went to buy groceries. They had the various supermarkets and so forth. They probably weren't supermarkets, but nonetheless, they had all sorts of places where people sold their goods. So that's where you're moving to as you move into the city. Next slide. Okay, as you get closer here, you can see the Celsus Library in the background. You see that taller building? Yep. That's where we're heading to right now. But along the way, there's some things to see, and I'll show you a couple of them. I can't show you everything. One thing you have to pay attention to, the fact is on these streets, not so much here at Ephesus, but in Laodicea, when we look at that later, you can see evidence of tracks, of horse-drawn carriages and things, or chariots or stuff that actually begin, over the period of time, begin to cause you can see the places where and you, on this particular place, you don't have that, but you do see along the way, you see all sorts of monuments and inscriptions in Greek that are sometimes announcements, or glorifying the emperor, or talking about an individual of some sort. They use the places on the side to use for both temples that people were in, as well as some other things we'll look at in just a moment. So that's what you're looking at as we go closer. Now, you can stand on this if you want to. This is actually an entrance area. This is, I believe, the entrance where it's called the I can't think of the term they use, but the place of Hercules. I have a picture of me on there. I didn't bring it. I didn't want to glorify myself in this, but where you put it to the side and demonstrate your great strength. So that's what you go through here as you go into the city. I'm standing up there where you can see me. So let's keep moving. Now, this is important. This is finally a temple of Trajan, or there's debate, or Hadrian. And both of these were emperors of Rome. And obviously, Ephesus lasted several hundred years. And what you see in the middle, if you look at where I put that little blue arrow,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at that real carefully, and of course we can't make this real big like I would like to, but if you look at that real carefully, that is actually Medusa. Anybody familiar with Medusa? Medusa?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What was her problem in life besides bad hairdo?
She had snakes in her head.
She had been raped by Poseidon
Yes.
in Athena's temple, which is why she was turned into a gorgon.
Very good. You know, but you look at this. I've always joked that it's a terrible hairdo.
Oh yeah.
But snakes can be out. What else is true about that? Not just the snakes. What else in Greek mythology about what happens if you happen to be around Medusa?
Yeah, she'll turn you into stone, right?
No, not just. She doesn't just turn you into stone. What happens? You have to
Look at her.
look at her. In other words, if you're walking behind her or you're walking around her and keeping your head in front, you're okay, unless a snake bites you, I guess.
Right.
The fact is, though, if you look at her face, you turn into stone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very ancient Greek mythology.
Yep.
And so it's here is I guess you can't see me pointing it out, but you see my little blue arrow there to show you where they had Medusa. Now there is also another temple on the other side, but I don't have it on this one. It's pretty well there, but we think it was actually to Diocletian, who was not a very nice emperor, by the way.
Mm-mm.
And so there are some emperors of Rome actually who weren't so bad, but so many of them were rotten. So
Yeah.
we're not going to go into those guys much. But if you look here at the next slide, past this one on Medusa, this is something all of you know about. And I want to ask you, what do you think this is? What's the name of this statue? This thing?
Is it Icarus?
What?
Is it Icarus?
No. Another option.
Let's see. It looks like it's carrying something on the other hand.
You may not get this one.
And a feather?
You ever heard wearing Nike? You've ever bought Nike shoes?
Oh, Nike, yes.
This is Nike, victory.
Ah.
And that's where you get the idea of Nike shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They have an investment in Ephesus. So
so it's not an actual angel from heaven.
it's not, no, the Greeks at this juncture were not, well, some were Christians, but most of them were not. But they did think a lot about athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics was big in Greece.
Oh, yeah.
They had unusual ways to do it. Paul talks about it in 1 Timothy 2 when he talks about some things, and also 1 Corinthians.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, when you are their basic competition was running.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, certain things begin to develop, like throwing discuses and stuff like that. But generally, at the first, it was. Also, people came from different cities to compete, and we wouldn't understand this very much today. Although I'm afraid we're getting closer. They did all their athletics in the nude, putting aside when Paul speaks about, or when actually I guess maybe the writer of Hebrews, he speaks about putting aside every weight and that sin that does easily beset you. It's seeking to dealing with the fact that you get rid of those things that are going to get in your way when you're running, and so that's sort of an unusual idea for us. But on the other hand, Paul talks about that we are in a race. And what's different is that we're not racing against anybody. In the Greek races, symbolized somewhat by Nike here, in the Greek races, you could have 20 people, let's say from 20 cities, and only one gets a prize. The 19 go home with nothing but shame. One gets a prize. And Paul's then saying, he says, in the race we're in, we also are running towards something. We're running toward the Lord Jesus. He's at the end of the way. And you're not in competition with anybody else. You're in only competition with whom?
Yourself.
Yourself. That's right.
Yeah.
You're in competition with yourself to live a life, pleasing life, that at the end you would receive a crown.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy get mad at me in church when I preached this I don't know, about a year ago, I guess it was. And he likes me better now, but he did not like the fact that I was teaching the fact that we as Christians, we are saved by grace through faith and not of works for anything that gets us to be with Jesus. Those sins were taken care of the cross. There's nothing you can do for them.
Right.
There's nothing, if you skip Jesus, that you can lose it. You are saved. But not everybody receives a crown. Because if our lives as Christians do not match up to God's standards, it's like in the race. At your end of your race, you may not get anything. You make it into heaven, but you don't get the praise of God for your work. You understand what I'm saying? And he thought it was terrible. He didn't like the idea that he might not get, I think he was looking for a mansion on the hilltop and maybe some servants, items, whatever,
Nice, cool, yeah.
But I think that's an important lesson that we learn from the Greek races, the fact that they put aside the weights that got in the way and they ran to win a prize. And only one got it, but each of us can get our own prize that's God is waiting to give us. Isn't that a wonderful concept?
Awesome.
Should cause us to live a life better.
And it's not just a participation award, right?
Yeah, I tell people I used to run track, and I did, and I ran in races. But in our day, we had first prize, second prize, third prize, fourth prize, showed up, wanted to come but couldn't make it. We have all four prizes. The Greeks, man, I tell you, only one got it. Everybody else went home disappointed.
So they didn't care about that.
There was no money with it. But if you got the prize, what happens in Greece? I did some reading on this area. It was very common when you went back to your community, you were the prize of the community. I mean, you were the shining light. People they took sports very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who would get that prize in his community, he would become fairly wealthy, probably. They gave him lots of laurels, whereas the other 19 guys just go home and get another job. Okay?
Oh, that's sad. No consolation players. That's funny.
James, you still up there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You did not turn this from me, Don.
I'm sorry, I did.
It doesn't look turned to me.
Paul in Ephesus, is that the one?
I wish you could see.
If you hold on, I can put it back to where it was.
Yeah, you need to turn the picture, not the slide, but the picture.
I did turn the picture, as a matter of fact.
It looks to me it's not. Do you guys see it sideways?
Oh, I don't know.
We wouldn't know what sideways is.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
If you see it sideways, I guess so. But that is the public restroom.
Yes, if you put it,
and
if you tilt your head a little, you could see where the seats go.
Sideways.
I don't know if you can manipulate the picture at this point.
I can manipulate it. I did it earlier. Just
he wants you to turn
because
the picture.
Before it was
the long way.
This hold on.
Because when you go sideways, it looks like runes, but they're not there. I mean, they're runes, but they're something else in there.
Well, they were highly civilized in the Greek and Roman world.
They had their own potties there.
Anybody ever been to a place called Scythopolis?
Nope.
It's above Jericho and such. It also has another name in Hebrew, and my mind is not giving it to me right now. But nonetheless, they have one there too. There's one in every Greek city, and they were public restrooms, but not like we have. Anybody know what Buc-ee's is?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you know about Buc-ee's. Okay, they are specially rewarded. They have the best restrooms. There it is.
Okay, now, Wayne, this is how it was.
Yeah, that's how
you told me to turn it.
I like it now. It's good. Thank you.
But that's where it was.
It was flipped.
Not what I was looking at. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, mine was
Yeah.
clear to the side. Anyway,
Yeah.
so the fact is they had public restrooms in Ephesus because that was being modern. That was being civilized.
Right.
Okay, and it took me a while to find it out or not. I did some research on this because people ask. Why don't you just keep it there? This actually was for both men and women,
Oh lordy,
which is a different philosophy than
for
Bucky's.
sure.
But what is interesting, if you were to be inside this public restroom, which is just very close to the Kelsus Library, if you
Ooh.
went inside there, you would find that there's an open area because that goes all the way around. That goes, this way and this way,
Yeah.
the whole thing. It was like this.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, you actually had an orchestra that would play during the daytime. They didn't have music to play that we have like in, our stores were in, but you actually had an orchestra in there that played during the day as people came in.
Oh Lord, I would not have loved to be hired for that.
Well, those of you who now are so entranced by my teaching, who are coming on my Turkey tour, you'll have an opportunity to go in here, but
Sure.
they don't make these available for strangers. Now,
Will they have an orchestra there?
Yeah.
if you carry your Walkman or
There
something
you
like
go.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Yeah,
I
okay.
got you.
Anyway,
Well,
it just, when I first saw this, I thought, what is this?
Yeah.
But I realized what it was, but I thought, what
You-
goes on here? I mean,
Yeah.
man, they have,
There's one just like it. It says Arena
I
Marathon.
discovered in my research it was open to both men and women in the ancient world.
Wow. You stand there a minute, you kind of like, oh yeah, now I know.
Now, they don't do that today, like I say. Okay, now, let's keep moving through.
No, they're slowly reverting back to that option.
Well,
You
yeah.
watch Arena. And Irina has been with me on several tours now. If you come, you'll get to know her because she's in charge of several aspects of the tour. But not the teaching of it per se, but she sort of keeps things going right and administered properly. Now,
and make sure you're coordinated in your dress and all that, right?
what?
What?
She chooses your clothes for you, right, to make sure you're well attired.
Oh, because that mashed in with everything else. Okay, but anyway, what you see right here is the Kelsus Library behind you, and
Oh.
you can go there, take pictures. This is sort of the famous place, but actually the Kelsus Library really didn't come until after the time of John's writing the Revelation. It was the first decade of the 2nd century AD.
Oh.
But it existed there for about 2.5 centuries, I suppose. If you go inside here, there's some things on the outside. There's some statues. I won't go into all that. But you go inside and you can sort of see how they laid it out. Remember, how would you have a library in the ancient days? You think they had books lined up across the way?
No. Scrolls.
With all sorts of maybe telling you that this is 269.3 and you can find it. And, no, they had, yeah, you're right. They had scrolls, right? Good, very good. And they slipped them in. And I don't know if they had several of one scroll in a certain place. I have no knowledge of that. But you can see exactly how they did that. And this was very important in the ancient world. The first site that actually began to really, they have a phenomenal library set up in the ancient world. And also they were first, I think, to do coinage in the ancient world. Is found up at Pergamum that we're going to be going to. So Pergamum sort of beat people to the idea of the modern education form of, so at least of that time. I've got quite a bit. Any questions while I'm at this point where we continue to move on?
Well, I just wanted to just maybe a relational point of the libraries as opposed to the one in Alexandria, which was supposed to be really big. Was it still around at the time?
Oh boy,
I don't think it was.
No, you have the library at Alexandria going at least until the 3rd century or more, or later than that, because remember in the you had people in the 1st century like Philo. Later on, you had Origen and some others like that. But you had the Septuagint that was created. Excuse me a second. At a later time. It actually came with the moving in of the Arabs. Remember,
Okay.
What century did the Muslims come from the Middle East and come through Israel into Egypt and such like? Anybody know?
Probably around the 7th century, I think.
7th century. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So the library is, as far as I know, and I'm willing to be corrected. I don't know everything, obviously. That what I think I know is that if you're talking about the 3rd century for the Septuagint, you still have that working. They wanted that in their library for sure, and I think it went on a few more centuries, but I could be wrong. But I do know the invasion occurred in the 7th century A.D., and that's when you develop the idea that the people who were the Philistines were taken over by the Palestinians. I mean,
Okay.
there because Hadrian in 135 changed the name of the idea of the Philistines to
Right.
the Palestinians, and the Philistia became Palestine.
Right.
And then he named Israel instead of, being Israel and Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. He named it in Latin and so forth. So we start this whole confusion we have right now of you have these so-called Palestinians who were never Palestinians in the biblical sense or in the historical sense because they're Arabs, not Greeks. The Greeks
Yeah.
retreat over to
Right.
Palestine. And they
nitpicky. I gotta tell you.
you know, it's just pieces of information that's
Oh yeah,
modern.
yeah.
That's modern day to understand.
Sure.
I've even thought about writing a little book. I've got a series I'm doing called the Truth series, and I'm doing one of the things is the myth of Palestine. The fact get all this nonsense stuff that people don't know what they're talking about, especially news
For
people.
sure. Oh,
News
for
people,
sure.
news people used to actually do research. Now
Mhm.
they just push their latest viewpoint.
Exactly.
But then, so what we call Philistia was what Hadrian actually created into Palestina.
Mhm.
Okay, well let's move on. We're in
Awesome.
we're in Turkey right now.
We're in the turkeys.
Let's keep moving.
We have a protector coming up here, so
Oh,
Well, guess who you're looking at?
protector of the city.
well, I'm guessing it's Diana.
Yes.
Me too.
In the ancient world, it was very common for gods and goddesses, so called, who were protectors of cities.
Mhm.
That's why you have Athens, it's the god Athena,
Mhm.
and so forth. Well, in Ephesus, you had the goddess, and if we put it into Greek, it would be the word Artemis. But we also know it by the term Diana. But Artemis had two personalities. She was a split personality kind of
Oh
god.
boy.
This is getting exciting. Just hold in there. When she is in her best form and not multi-breasted here,
Is that
demonstrating
what that
that
is?
she is all sufficient for people's needs. She feeds her people and takes care of her people. That's what they're saying with the multi-breasted one.
Oh, I thought those were eggs.
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Too bad.
That's okay.
But the next thing is, though, she's also known as a huntress.
That's right.
You'll see pictures of Artemis and the idea with the deer and with the bow and arrow and stuff like that. She was known with two different ways of doing things.
Mm.
But nonetheless, she was the goddess of Ephesus.
Hmm.
So that's important to know. All right, let's keep moving. Now
Wow.
we moved into the agora. Now I want you to pay attention. You can't get it bigger, but if you can, are you able to show something on the screen?
He can move his arrow, his cursor.
Well, if you go up to the top where you see those three little trees on the left.
On the left,
The other left. There,
these
right there.
here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Good, you're counted well. Okay. In between two of those trees, you have the Kelsus Library.
Oh, there it is.
What happens is that when you get to the Kelson Library, I don't know if they had a sign there, but it would say turn right. because if you don't go to the library, you got to go somewhere else, and you turn right, and now you enter through another gate, and that gate you enter into is right there below the Celsus Library to the left.
I see it.
And you're
That would
entering
be-
into the idea of what is called the
There it is.
agora.
Yeah.
What did
Yeah.
I say agora was?
The marketplace.
Yeah, it's the place of eating and buying and so forth. And so you had many places where people bought things during the time. I'll show you that at Sardis, another example, but it's different than this one.
So
But if you-
basically a mini mall, right?
Yeah, I don't.
So it's
I don't-
kind of like a food court.
Well,
Oh, there
there's
you
Walmart, Safeway. They're all here. Now, if you look at the Celsus Library and you see the entrance to the left, you can see part of the Celsus Library through it.
Okay.
If you go across, those were places that people had little shops.
all those
Okay.
little
You have the road that comes out, and that road actually moves away from the Celsus Library through the marketplace all the way to the theater. And we'll look at the theater later. But every Greek city had a theater.
had to have it.
Unique is the fact that they built the theater differently than did the Romans.
Mm.
That proves to be valuable sometimes in figuring out things.
Mhm.
But we'll stop on that just a moment. Notice we have columns here too. Columns were very popular. But like I say, I think, and I don't know this for certain, I'm thinking this because I know certain places were, it probably was pretty regular for them to cover these during the times of lots of heat, maybe, or maybe even rain or something occurring. For some reason, you have these columns on both sides, and we know some were done to have that. So I don't know if all of them were or not, but you'll see that. Then you have obviously the results of lots and lots of stones being broken up and so forth. This is a pretty good size agora. You'll see one in Athens. There are actually two agoras. One's a government, the other is a public market. And separated, if you don't know, if you go to Athens, for example, we will together in these presentations, in the future probably, we will recognize the fact that you have the public agora, which had the place to one of the gods, as far as a temple, Ephesus. They also had this is the place that Paul would have run into the philosophers, where he debates with the philosophers. This is where Mars Hill is. That's in Athens. Then you head down the street a couple blocks. If you walk it, you'll see there's also a few other columns inside a place that is sort of like this. It's a marketplace. So they had a private and a public marketplace in Athens. That's just information that you can file away. Now, let's just keep moving it, and we move here now. That's another picture a little farther away from it, giving you some of the setting for it. But I'm going to show you in just a moment some things they put on the streets. Okay, you'll see that in a minute. Keep moving.
Next. Oh,
here we go. They had lots of games that people, they didn't have Monopoly and, checkers and things we have. I know, there's some great games. But I always like Risk because my late wife, she would bring in women to have meetings together, and the guys would all sit around the thing and play Risk. And I loved it because I always won. And so you have to know how to move the strategy. Well, anyway, I have no idea what this is all talking about, but you can see some Greek letters here.
Letters, yeah.
And so somehow that related to a game they played. Maybe it was a marbles kind of game, or like dice or something. I'm not sure what they did. But you see several. I'm just going to show you a couple. But you see several of these that are up and down the way. And what you find about the Roman army, if you go back and think about the days of Jesus, it was very common for them to be playing games. Even at points of crucifixion, they played games. You know that? So this is not something new. This is what was going on in the ancient world. Let's go to another one. I will show you another one. This is not a game. And they have other games I may not have any more on here. But this is very, very, very important. And I want to see if anybody can tell me what's significant about this being carved into the streets of Ephesus.
It's a menorah.
It's a menorah. What difference does that make?
Shows that the Jews were there.
It tells you there was a Jewish population at Ephesus. And we know that, for example, John was a Jew. Paul was a Jew. We can start going through. There were lots of Jews that hung around Gentile cities. Matter of fact, what happens to the Jews when people come in like Babylonians, Assyrians, Romans, you name it? What do the Jews end up doing? Scattering, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there's dispersion. They go throughout the world, and they came and had synagogues. So Paul, when he was a Jew that had very strong Greek training, he was a Roman citizen, and he was a first-rate apostle. You know, you got the 12, but then you got Paul. He's something special. And so, but Paul and Barnabas and Silas and Timothy and all these guys, Peter was in the northern portion of Asia Minor. John was toward the west. But Paul, he over where you have Cyprus toward the very corner of what we think of as the end of Syria and Israel. You had Cyprus. Saul, or Paul at this point, he went up to various cities along the way, right? And we're going to see some of that. But as he did, he went to synagogues first. Why would he go to a synagogue?
Because they were told to go to the Jewish people first.
Okay. Yeah. You have, when you encounter people, at least you have a point of departure, don't you?
Connection, yes.
Yeah.
The origin story.
They know the stories. You know, you can mention Abraham and the Jews would know who you're talking about, right?
Right.
You mentioned Moses or you mentioned somebody else. He started with something in common with people to begin with. And he won many of the Jews. We find examples of that. There's a place in, what is it called, the area of Achaia, close to Thessaloniki, that the Bereans were Jews that searched the scripture to see if what Paul said was so, right? I suspect there are other people that did the same thing. Go back to the menorah again.
Back, okay.
Yeah, because we're going to look at that just a second. I want you to get a good look at that and notice what you have. You have clearly the menorah going up at the top. It looks like you have a stand underneath it or something, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what is to the right there. I've looked at that, and I may be wrong. And I may be exaggerating. I mean, seriously, I may be wrong and exaggerating. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But that looks almost like a cross to me.
Could be. I was wondering.
So I wonder myself. I don't know that that's true.
Right.
But because there was this mixture going on, as Paul, as a Jew, was winning Jews, but also there were people called what?
The Christians, but
Gentile believers.
They were Gentiles who had not yet embraced Judaism, but they ended up being Christians, like Cornelius.
Right.
What were they called?
God-fearers.
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 You got it close. God-fearers, and I'm going to show you a couple of places in Turkey where this is spectacular, but I'm going to wait. And I'm so surprised when I went to a couple of places and saw some things. But this is a menorah, stand, and it looks to me it might even be a cross, and you could have had a Christian that came up there and carved it in there.
It's possible.
So, I don't know. I was trying to figure out what else could it be. I don't know. Okay, keep moving. Now this is another game, obviously, right?
They
Tic-tac-toe.
didn't know how tic-tac-toe works.
Doesn't that look like it? That's exactly what came to mind.
It's something. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if I could win. I don't know what is all those zeros and X's. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they had a lot of these up and down the streets. Now they had one I didn't show you purposely.
Okay.
Because on the street, as you're on the left side, moving away from the Kelsos Library, going underneath the gate, heading toward the theater, on the left there is an engraving, and it's engraving of a foot, and in there is an indication that this was a place you basically they're trying to lead you, and there's other examples of this in Ephesus. They're trying to lead you to a place of prostitution. And so that's been on the street.
Interesting.
And so there are a couple other places you see indications by the kind of inscription. It's not inscription, by the configuration that they create there.
Signs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but most of the stuff is like games, and then you have the menorah and things like that. Now you're getting a look at if you were in the gate right near Celsus and looking straight out toward the area that's going to lead you to the theater on the right. On the left, you're going to have what? You're going to have the Agora.
Oh, yeah.
The Agora, the marketplace. So now I can show you a little bit more. If you see right here, you see that crane in the background that's blue with the little red thing?
Yep.
Okay, beneath that. Okay, now if you'll look lower, you'll see the city has this walkway.
Yeah.
And you also have the columns. It's all there.
Yeah.
Behind you is part of the marketplace and the open area, and also the shops. And then as you move through, you're going to get toward the end there. And if you look real careful, you'll see, or is it carefully?
Carefully.
If you look real carefully, as you get to the edge there, you were going to make a left-hand turn that's going to take you to where you get on your boat if you're going on the sea.
Ooh.
More about that in just a minute. But right now, if you go straight and make a left, you're going to find yourself inside the theater. Okay, keep going.
Next. Oh.
This again is part of that which relates to the market. Keep going again.
Are those aqueducts?
You could have aqueducts because they have some out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going, please. Now we're going to go to the next thing. So go to it.
All right. So while we take a brief commercial break.
So while Don's bringing that up, what was the context of the carvings? Were those graffiti? Were they street signs? What was that?
I don't know for certain. I shouldn't say for certain. Maybe Dr. Williams knows or someone else. But I think it was simply what people did naturally. You have a place to mark like people, they go on the side of the walls now and put their names in and stuff. I think it was probably citizens doing. I don't know if it was an official act of the city council or anything. Okay, now let's look at the theater. Here's the theater from a distance. This theater held once upon a time about 20,000 people when Paul came to visit. Anybody know the story?
That's a big theater. That's all
Well,
I know.
would that be when they sort of were after Paul?
What had Paul done?
Done.
Well, they were falsely accusing him, and they were saying, "Great is Diana."
Oh, that one.
All true, but let's go back before that. Paul was ministering in the city as an apostle, and you had people that had idols for sale.
Oh yes.
Right.
And you had a woman even who was a little bit off, and you had, and so you had people. Their business was being taken away when the Christians started multiplying in the city. All of a sudden, they don't buy idols. Now you have 20,000 here saying, "Great is Artemis or Diana," what they really said, of the Ephesians. Notice that.
Ephesus.
There you go.
That's right. The fact is, this is our goddess, and they're bothering her right now. It's amazing the goddess couldn't defend herself, though.
No, apparently not.
You had to have these guys. And here's you had a finding here that's important. We're going to see that at Miletus, too, and other places. But it's very important because a man by the name of Sir William Ramsay was a classical archaeologist. He had a Christian on the boat with him as he did his archaeology, doing the Greco-Roman archaeology. Sir William Ramsay, did you catch that? He was specially honored by the Queen. Okay? And in the time, people said that Luke and these, Luke and Acts and all these things, they just really didn't get their information correct. I mean, we know better than they.
Sure.
I mean, I know they were there and so forth, but we have better understanding because we're smart people. We went to Oxford or Cambridge or somewhere else, okay? And what happened is that this young man who was a Christian, as they traveled, Ramsey came across things and inscriptions that verified that Luke knew what he was talking about, because Luke knew the terms before Ramsey did.
Imagine that.
And they're inscribed. Believe it or not, even the Bible can be accurate if you really look for it. There's other stories on that too, who went to the land of the Hittites and so forth. People said the Hittites didn't exist. It's a myth.
Right.
48 times mentioned, but it's a myth. The Bible obviously made it up. And then they found these Hittites. It was a major kingdom. And the guy said, well, we made a little mistake. Let's move on.
Yeah, sure.
So, here we are, another picture of the theater. But what I was moving to tell you is that there are the polytarchs and the Asiarchs. They were officials in the city, and here at Ephesus, they're called polytarchs.
Huh.
And so these are officials like mayors or city council or so forth. And Ramsey began to believe the Bible was accurate. Luke was accurate. Eventually led him to be a Christian because of the accuracy of the biblical text. When you really do the work. Let's keep moving. Our time is moving, I know. And that's another angle. The reason I give it to you, that's another angle of the 20,000. The Greek cities' theaters are always built into the hill. Romans are built on stilts. They were great builders.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you'll find at Scythopolis, for example. Bet-Shean, there's another name for it there. But here you have it built in the city. Here's how it is depicted as maybe looking. I'm not saying this, but I have this here for one reason. Is because you see, at one time you had a theater that was had 20,000 people in it. You had a place where the actors and the singers and so forth did their work. By the way, I don't know if we'll come across a place like that. I love to go into theaters where you can still hear yourself in a vibration with the
the acoustics, yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's Red Rocks.
They didn't need microphones.
No.
Anyway, keep looking. There are other buildings you're showing you, but notice the walkway here. There's the walkway.
Wow, that's a long one.
It takes you go back a part. Okay, the walkway is still there, but the harbor is no longer there because what happened around 260 or so to somewhere between that and a couple of centuries later, they had several earthquakes in that area, and the earthquakes diverted the water from the bay and the sea out to another place. Till today, there is no harbor there. There is no boats there, and you can walk on that for about 10 miles and come to the sea. Earthquakes can do interesting things.
Sure can.
Isn't that interesting? Because that was there, and the earthquakes diverted it to another place. Okay.
Wow. Next.
Now, this is looking down, gives you a better eye view, and this is taken on a mountain that I was at. I think I have a drone shot here soon. I'm not sure. But that's a mountain, so you can get a feel for what I've been talking about.
Nice.
The background, the walls. Okay, let's go to the next. Again, another view. You see where the theater is at the right top? It just goes down, but now it doesn't go down to a sea.
That
No
must have
sea,
been a sight.
no sea to be seen.
No sea to be seen.
Now, here's another angle from the sky. And so it just gives you an overview of what you're looking at there. And the theater built into the mountainside and it's a big, big area that, of course, you had thousands of people who lived in Ephesus. It's a major, major city of the ancient world.
Yeah.
And it's a major seaport at one time.
Yeah.
So it leads to that. And the one you're looking at there is not the walkway on the left side. It's the one to the right of this theater itself. Okay, keep going. Now, this is the last. I think this is. Are we going to quit here in just a minute, Don? Or is that what we're doing?
Well, theoretically, but it's up to you and the gang.
Well, let me show you this. And if you want to go on, I can show you some stuff in Smyrna. It doesn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes max. You just let me know what I need to do. I want to show this to you for a very important reason. One is, if you're on most tours, you would never see it ever.
Mm.
But the guy I do tours with, he has connections, and we were able to get up there to a cave. You had to climb way up the mountain from the place where Kelsus is and walk up a place, and then you have to keep going and going until you're pretty high on a mountain there. And they have a cave, and inside the cave is found this painting on the side of the wall. And if you could read the Greek, even if you could read Greek, it's hard to read. Palos is on right where his finger is pointing.
Yeah.
Palos or Paul.
Paul.
And to the right of is a girl. It's the girl, and her name is Thecla. And I know a person, a friend of mine, years ago, did a dissertation on the Acts of Paul and Thecla, which is actually a 2nd century book that was created and looks back to this. This is the picture of Paul that is viewed as the closest to be of his actual how he looked. Because when you look through the ancient world at that time, repeatedly, if you look at this picture, you'll see that most of the pictures of Paul you see places that people have where they have icons of various kinds of things. You'll see Paul looking very similar to this.
Yeah, that looks okay.
So this may be, I can't say that it is, but it was viewed. It's the earliest picture we have of the apostle right here. Now to the far left, there's something, you see a woman looking through the opening. There's an opening there. And that's thought to be probably Mary, because John was given the commission by Jesus at the cross. He says, basically, John, behold your mother, mother, behold John. So remember that? And he became the keeper of Mary. Remember, and in those days, Joseph was probably 35, 40 years old. Mary was probably still a teenager. And so she was fairly young at the time of the crucifixion in comparison. And Joseph had probably already passed away. And so John took her into case, and he went with her ultimately to Ephesus, is the story in tradition. And this is thought to be Mary, and they actually have a place on the hill that's quite a ways from this place that the cave is in, but of her home that she lived in when she was there. I'm not saying that's accurate, but that in fact is what is viewed as tradition.
Maybe it was a drawing of Mr. Potato Head. Kind of looks like him.
Mr. Potato Head.
We'll have to talk to him later about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll give you some time. Now that's actually what I have, except for Smyrna. We can do Smyrna next week if you want. Okay.
It's up to y'all. You don't have many slides here, so.
I have a very few slides of Smyrna. You want me to show them to you? You got another 5 minutes?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody okay? Go to
Thumbs
Smyrna.
up. We'll do it the Roman way. Thumbs up.
Do it the Roman way. Okay, there you go.
Okay, now this right here is an open area at a place called Smyrna, and today it's called Izmir, and it's a gorgeous place to live. It's better than San Diego ever thought about.
Really?
And I thought about, my wife and I thought about we had a guy who was going to set us up to spend about 3 months a year in Izmir. Yeah, just an apartment there on the sea. It's a gorgeous place. We decided not to do that, but nonetheless, if you notice these columns, these are characteristic. You had 3 kinds of columns that were found in the ancient world. We'll talk about those when we get to Corinth some way in the future. But they're basically the one that's the most popular is called the Corinthian, which is what you're looking at right there. Another one's called Doric, which is very plain looking and so forth. And so anyway, that's it. Now this right here above would have been, if you'll notice how it's built, the land would probably have been a little higher then. This is underneath the city of Smyrna. If you go here, you actually have to look at different things on the top, over where you saw the columns a moment ago, the big area. This right here is to the, I think, west of that, and these are openings over an area in the bottom that's like it's not like a tunnel, but it's like it's a well-equipped. People used to go down there, and there's some important things I'm going to tell you about there. So let's go down below.
Next.
We're still up. Keep going. Now,
Oh.
This is how it looks below. And I spent a time with the archaeologist here, uh, Dr. El Soy, who teaches at the university there in archaeology, and he did a tape for me and I had it translated. He told everybody, he said, "Now I'm a secularist."
Hmm.
A lot of people are surprised. They think of Turkey as being Muslim. Well, it is since in name only.
Right, right.
Most people you'll not, except in Istanbul, you'll rarely ever see some of the garb that women wear and some of the things that are done. It's very it's a very secular community and country. That actually helps us in many ways. But if you
Sure.
go in here on either side, you have engraved. Go back where you were.
Back.
Go up again.
Picture.
There, just stay there. Here on both sides here, and also around the way and down the other way, there's all sorts of interesting things. But there are paintings and so forth. And I even helped Dr. Ersoy translate Greek on some things down there, which was fun to be able to work with the archaeologists down there.
Sure.
I'm not like a major archaeologist or anything, but we spent a little time together and we looked at some Greek words and stories and so forth. It's really interesting. But what's fascinating here, and I didn't see it when I went, but I found it out later from a person who was working here, that there's on the wall of downstairs here of the building area, there were engravings that said, like, I love the girl 1378 or something. They use names to be codes.
Right.
Another place they have writings about instructing people how to get to where Christians are worshiping and so forth. And they would write these in code language. Now, does that remind you of anything in the book of Revelation?
Mm-hmm. The name of the Antichrist. Or his number is
6, the name, right?
Yeah.
Name of a man.
Right.
It didn't say, I know we can try to figure out who 666 is, 666. But that was not an unusual practice, and it was used in the first century, and they found examples down here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really fascinating.
Very cool.
Okay, I think that may be the end. Go up now and see, that's Smyrna and so forth, and that's a persecuted church, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I hope you enjoy some of this tonight. If nothing else, I hope you enjoy the comedy routine. I really try. If you don't keep people going, they're never going to come back. So anyway, we got through Smyrna a little bit. I could do some more, but there's not a lot of Smyrna. It's a popular, but there are some other places we're going to go to after. We've done Ephesus, we're going to do Smyrna. Now, when we get to Pergamum, there's some interesting things to talk about. We'll talk about Asclepius, the god of healing, and how that relates to where you are with Pergamum. We'll talk about the seat of Satan there. We're looking at a lot of things that are at Smyrna. There's some really fascinating things. And then if I run out of things, I think for the program, I'll probably bring in a minor thing like Thyatira and Philadelphia, which has basically a maximum of 5 minutes per site. Just nothing much there. So I'll fill it in if I need to, but we'll keep going through. We're going to run through the 7 church period. We're going to go to churches that weren't part of the 7 churches, and then we're going to move to another country. But we want to do that probably before I take you into the land of the Hittites.
Oh, I want to go there.
Most people never, ever see that. But in our tour, those who want to are going to go to Cappadocia. And that's a great and interesting place I'll show you next week. But also we'll go to the place of the Hittites, which is a phenomenal place. I went at wintertime when it was snowing. What a great place.
Oh, nice.
Fresh in the mountains of the north. It was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
So we'll see you next week, next Tuesday, right?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Same time, same station.
Okay. God bless you very much. Go to my website.
All right. We're gonna show the website quickly here, and then we will bow out because that's what I do.
That's right.
Brand new website.
The handy dandy website.
Even
the handy dandy website. So we're gonna go click share screen, entire screen, and there's the entire screen for you.
Here. Woo-hoo.
And that's at hwaynehouse.com.
Yeah, hwhouse.com.
HW.
Yeah, HW House. Yeah, hwhouse.com. And you can even click on tours if you want to look at that. Christian Study Tour, 7 churches. And
Bada
there
boom,
you
bada
have
boom.
it.
You also have, for example, on this site, you have articles that I'm putting on as quick as I can get them on that I've written over the years. If you want to read them, both dealing with law and ethics and theology and Bible and everything under the sun, apologetics, I worked it all. And then I'm also going to have on there for you, if you want, you can watch an entire 5 courses in systematic theology, all the way through all the class periods that I taught at Faith International University. All the courses are there that I've taught.
Nice.
Okay.
All the
So
class
why don't we
periods.
wave it to everybody, and then you and I can talk in the next day or so to tell me what we're doing next week.
There you
Adios.
go. Adios, amigos.
Bye, guys.
Same time, same place.